While the COVID-19 pandemic has affected the immediate outlook for airlines around the world, there are some new airline companies looking to make their mark in the industry. One of those airlines is Air Premia, which follows a few other airlines in starting up in the hyper-competitive market of South Korea. Its launch is highly anticipated and things are apparently now falling into place for its debut. As it gears up for its launch, it has also made its plans for its first trans-Pacific flights. Before going forward, this is a brief overview of Air Premia. It was first established in 2017 and it has been working towards obtaining its business license and airline operating certifications from the South Korean authorities. Billed as a hybrid airline, the airline plans to offer a premium service while offering fares lower than the legacy carriers like Korean Air and Asiana. With plans to operate and focus on medium and long-range routes, Air Premia has leased 3 Boeing 787-9 Dreamliners to be the workhorse of the airline. Keeping with the hybrid airline business model, the airline will be offering a dual-class cabin offering, including a premium option that you won't normally see in most budget airline wide-body jets. Since March of this year, the airline has already received the first of its 787s, though the real developments have been taking place within the last few months. The major headline occurred within the last few weeks as the airline has taken its steps to operate its first long-haul service to the U.S. West Coast. On July 30th, the airline filed for a foreign air carrier permit for flight rights to the United States, and through that filing we now have more details as to the initial plans for the airline. In that filing, Air Premia has already reported it has received its air operator certificate from South Korean officials on July 16. That important document will help pave the way for its first flights, though it will focus on the domestic market initially, with routes such as the Seoul-Gimpo and Jeju Island, which is the world's busiest airline route. Leading up to the planned flights to the US, the airline will be eyeing international flights to regional destinations in Singapore, Vietnam, and Thailand. Then in the filing, the airline plans to operate its first flights to the US between Seoul, Incheon, and Los Angeles in California using 787s by the second quarter of 2022. So far, no specific date for its first flights have been announced, though it could happen within the next few months. Its launch would follow 2 other South Korean-based newcomer airlines, Aero-K and Flygang One, which have already launched in recent years. Those 2 airlines, along with Air Premia, joined the highly competitive aviation market in South Korea with multiple low-cost airlines, competing with the legacy carriers Korean Air and Asiana. This has led to doubts of the future of these airlines, including Air Premia, though now there have been some developments in the market that could change the course for the airlines. Among the developments that could provide an opening for these airlines, including the troubles of E-Star Jet and now the planned merger between Korean Air and Asiana. With the current situation of the changing South Korean aviation market aside, some may question the viability of the airline using Boeing 787 aircraft, which will have around 309 seats, and whether its hybrid model approach go along with the weakness of having no developed connecting network yet. I will mention I do have my doubts on the use of the 787s for shorter routes or those with lower demand in the region. This is in contrast to an airline like Starlux in Taiwan, the startup airline which is operating a combo of Airbus A321 and A350s, giving the Taiwanese airline the flexibility for short and long-haul routes. I do have my questions. It seems that Air Premia is more heavily focused on the long-haul routes, and the prime example of this is Los Angeles, which, while the market between Seoul and Los Angeles is a highly competitive one, the airline could serve the Korean-American community there. Besides Los Angeles, the airline could be serving destinations favored by Korean tourists, examples being Bangkok in Thailand and Honolulu in Hawaii. And I believe Air Premia does have a good value proposition for travelers looking for a lower rate to key destinations. Long term, I could see the airline looking into offering connecting services on markets between North America and Asia, something which has been proven as a strength for the Korean-based carriers in Incheon Airport. That said, one of the biggest challenges for Air Premia in the start is would they be able to attract new travelers and hopefully turn them into frequent flyers. What are your thoughts on Air Premia's business model, and can its hybrid approach prove to be successful for it? Also, do you think it can compete in the highly lucrative but competitive long-haul market from South Korea to the United States and other destinations? This has been Flights in Asia, highlighting the news and updates on the aviation and travel scene in the Asia Pacific. Thank you for watching and have a great day.